snake.
Woo! What's up, everybody? Welcome to Field of Project. Welcome to Class Action. That was an old man skittling through the StreamYard thing, going to get find where I have to hit the button for, because I am an old man and I am feeling a little.
For the man of 1,000 streams, you're a bit rusty at this thing, huh?
I guess so, man. I did not get very much sleep last night. I had one of those nights where I just could not sleep, woke up and tried to stay in bed for a long time, and it just made it worse. And the longer I got, the worse my cloudy head got. But I'm up. I'm ready as well as I can be for an old man. And luckily, I have two of my favorite sidekicks in the world. Mr. Richard R. Jarvie, how are you doing?
Doing good, man. You just threw in a new intro, and I'm not against it. I usually would be. I'm kind of agreeable now.
All right. And I'm glad you're agreeable, because there's no way I was remembering anything from the way it's supposed to be. So wait till the ending. You can't wait till the ending, I can tell you. Maddie, how about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Again, echo what Jarvie said. I'm cool with the new intro. You know, I don't have to have my accent made fun of, which is good. I just want to say up the top, Matty Kearns, thank you very much for your patronage and your friendship. I am pissed as fuck at you for this matchup. This one was rough. I love both these movies. So this is like the equivalent of Cage versus Cruz, but a little bit worse.
Yeah, he has been bitching about this since you first nonstop. And I private chats, regular chats, unknown chats, text chats, numbers calling. He's on message boards. He's on Reddit. He's on Pornhub. He's just doing everything. Everywhere he goes, he's talking about it.
Let's just say, in legal terms, I tried to have this stricken from the record.
He did, and we wouldn't let that happen because our Patreon Matty Kearns has put forward to a test. But you know what? He's been a high class player for a minute. He might actually join us in class action one of these times. So you might be able to fight him head to head at some point. Who knows?
Hasn't he been on before?
He was on the original class action, yes, back in the day. What's up, Reefism? He was on the original class action when we did our famous ranking the live Superman movies with Mike with Mark Riley.
Mike Kalinowski.
Mike Kalinowski. No, that's Mike Riley. I was like, I'm combining the two because again, Cloud. No COVID, but COVID Cloud. I don't know what's going on. But either way, so he was on originally, but he might want to join us, the new gang, so to speak, the Volume 2, the Reborn version. Although he probably wanted to come on for this show. We couldn't let that happen. We have to do this for him. We can't let him be a part of this.
No.
We got to get him on some kind of way where we can make him get pissed, because that's what we do here in class.
Road Warrior versus Escape from LA.
I thought about
we should do that because for me, Escape from New York was a first time watch. I had never seen that movie, so
that's amazing.
I'm probably gonna piss a lot of people off with my category rulings.
Had you seen Mad Max before?
I had seen Mad Max before.
Okay.
Once, but it was pretty much a fresh watch.
Oh, that's okay. All right, Maddie, what is your history with these movies? I'm kind of curious.
I watched Mad Max with my childhood friend Ryan Trout when we were little kids. And then I remember watching it when I was like 13, 14, and I hadn't watched it since. Escape from New York, I watch about 3 or 4 times a year.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
I love this. I fucking love this movie so much. It's so
I'd love
great.
to see you in those snake leather pants.
I could see that.
I dressed up for Halloween a few years ago as a different snake. But
Jake the Snake Roberts.
Jake the Snake Roberts. I dressed up as the snake in the sack that was getting thrown about.
Nice. Well, have also had a good history of these films. I watched them both, being slightly older than you gentlemen. To show my age again here, I saw these back in the 80s.
What's my age again?
Yeah, exactly. I watched these when they first came out in the 80s. Mad Max in 79. I saw it a couple years later down the line, probably about 85, 86. Same time I actually watched Escape from New York. And it took me a long time to rewatch either of them. And I'll be actually first to admit, this is the first time I've rewatched Mad Max probably since the 80s. I definitely was more of someone who rewatched Road Warrior a bunch when I was younger, and I watched Beyond Thunderdome a lot as I grew older. And of course, I've seen Furiosa and everything, or Fury Road. But Mad Max was not what I went back to a lot. Not that I didn't like it, but I think the kid in me liked a more straight-on comic book action style that Road Warrior type comparative. But yeah, no, so it was fun going back. Escape from New York, I definitely watched a lot more because I've always been a big John Carpenter fan, obviously, with Halloween, things of that nature. So,
have you watched this with the Kurt Russell and John Carpenter commentary?
I have not, and I really should.
It's great. They get absolutely tanked and watch the film. It's awesome.
I love that idea.
So, did they do that in the 80s, or is that like a new commentary that they did?
I can't remember when they did it.
Okay,
interesting.
It's on the DVD.
I will say, Reefism, no, I have not seen with the original Australian audio mix. I wonder, I've never even heard that. That was a thing. Good day. Fair. All right, well, let's.
You're right, mate.
We do have a couple things we do before we have we actually never talked about what we do on Class Action. If you're new here, hit that like, hit that subscribe, let us know what you think. Obviously, we're being very professional today, so this is a good way to start. But on this show, we put 2 movies this week's, obviously. We got Mad Max from 1979, Escape from New York, 1981. We're going to put them up against each other in 5 custom-made categories, and we'll determine which one is going to survive this dystopian future. And Matty Kearns is here. We're good to hear that,
boy.
But before that,
damn you, Kearnsy.
Before we do that, we used to play a game called What Would Ed Harris Play? But we don't do that anymore. Instead,
we have a wheel.
Oh
boy!
That I will admit to you guys. I'm talking about professionalism.
It's all Ed Harris.
I literally did this wheel in the last 2 seconds. That's why I asked you about your history. It's a very new wheel. Off the cuff. Oops, I just got out of it there. Hold on a second. Off the cuff wheel. We're going to put these guys in Mad Max and put these guys in Escape from New York. And, Maddie, you're going to be on soon. That's right, by the way. You should join us. Because he is one of our higher patrons and he gets to join us. So I think he's going to be in a Class Action episode in the near future. We'll have to discuss that, Maddie, off air. Here is our list. We have Ed Harris, Jonathan Groff, Christopher Pratt, Jennifer Lawrence, Jim Carrey, Bruce Campbell, Halle Berry, or Queen Latifah. And that's our list of 8 tonight. Boom. Let's see who we got first.
Which movie are we doing first?
We're going to do Mad Max first since it came out first. How about that?
Okay.
Spin it up. Spin it up, baby. Oh, it's Queen Latifah in Mad Max. That is a tough sell, but I got one for you. Ready?
Go for it.
I got it. I'm going to put right off the top of the bat. I am making Queen Latifah the underground mechanic that builds the V8 Pursuit Special. I think that she would have a fun. It's a smaller role, but she would have a blast with that kind of role. I think you could put her in like these monkey grease gears set up, and she would be like riffing with Mel Gibson about this. I like her in that role. I think she'd knock it out of the park. What about you guys? I'll let you go with you, Jarvie, first.
Okay, I'm gonna put Queen Latifah will definitely be the smartest person in the room, so I gotta put her as Jim Goose. I mean, it's gotta be. It's like Jim Goose. That was the police chief, right?
No, Goose was the sidekick. He was Max's sidekick.
Okay, so I meant the
I know
chief. Which one is that?
Chief. The name
was trying to get him back in the game, and
yep. I know exactly. Talking about him as Fifi. Roger Ward, Fifi.
There we go.
McAfee. That's it.
Well, this is what happens when you put Jarvie on a movie that he's only seen once.
By the way, I want to say I did write this in my Letterboxd reviews. It's not a good thing if you're a sidekick named Goose in the 80s.
No.
Matty, what do you think? Where are you going to put Queen Latifah?
God damn it, Jarvie just fucking took mine.
No, I did.
I'm gonna go with. God, this is tough. I think I'm gonna gender swap a role.
Okay.
I'm gonna put her as toe cutter.
Ah, you're gonna join Matty
No.
Kearns. The Maddies reunite. All right.
There we go. There we go.
Oh, Queen Latifah could be fucking awesome in that role. If she got a little bit crazy, a little bit more intense in her way, I think she could really pull it off. I like that. Good call. Good call. Matty's saying he saw Jarvie's letterbox review of Mad Max, so he's interested for this episode. I have not seen that in that review.
It's something.
It's a few stars.
Few stars. Okay.
Definitely got some stars.
Definitely got some stars. We should put our letterbox in our chat or in our description at some point to let us all. Matt, do you even have a letterbox, Matty?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, it
Matty Gunner.
Okay. I don't think I don't. I pay attention when things pop up. I go, oh, let me look at that. I know Jarvie because Jarvie always likes my reviews, so I tend to go back to his profile through that. So, all right. Well, that's good then. We got Queen Latifah as toe cutter, as Fifi, and as the underground mechanic. So, okay. All right. To quote Padme, "You're breaking my heart, Jarvie." But
yeah, I
He
mean,
is
this
a
movie
heartbreak
broke my heart.
he is a heartbreaker. So, all right. Let's move on then to Escape from New York. Now, who are we going to put in there? We're not.
I have one in mind, but I'm really fucking hoping we land on it.
I've got nothing prepared, so I'm interested.
Come on.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. There we go.
Don't you ever swear. Don't even ever swear when Ed Harris gets.
That wasn't the one I wanted.
Is rigged.
Wait a minute, Jarvie. Well, now because you're threatening me with rigging, why don't you go first?
Yeah, of course I'll go first. He's got to be the fucking president. Donald Pleasance. Yeah, but Donald Pleasance was kind of like he was more like the shit weasel. Did I take Maddie's again? I would have Ed Harris kind of the hard ass shit weasel.
I like that. I kind of think that. That's pretty cool. Okay. Now, Maddie, since you just took yours again, what are you gonna do?
Okay, I'm gonna have him as the shit weaselly snide vice president that is going to be appointed if Snake doesn't get the president out in time. Then Ed Harris is going to be, and it turns out that Ed Harris has paid the Duke
behind the whole thing.
And he will be up on the wall, and he will be staring down towards Donald Pleasance, saying that he's the new president because he's up there, he's down there. You walked into the wrong goddamn control
New York. You walked to the wrong goddamn New York.
All right. See, Maddie. See what happens when I take your picks? Magic.
Me and Jarvie have been doing this together for so long now. It's like we've become a hive mind.
That's very true. Well, I don't know why I'm totally against everybody. It looks like that's okay. I'm okay with that. For me, I think I got to go with Matty on this one. I got to go with he's got to play Lee Van Cleef's Commissioner Hawk there, the guy that basically is telling Snake what to do the whole time and snarkily telling him what to do. I think he's got that badassness about him. He's got that kind of like he doesn't give a fuck how cool Snake is. He's going to be like you're still lesser than me because only Ed Harris can pull that off. I mean, Lee Van Cleef does a good job too. I can't lie. So. All right, that is our recasting. That's our recasting. So now we're going to move this along into the meat of the show, as I like to call it, the meat of the show. We have 5 categories in which we're going to put these two up against each other. 5. We have, and I'll list them off before we go into it. We have number 1, better setting. Number 2, better hero. Number 3, better action. Number 4, better villain. And then 5, better legacy. So this is going to be an interesting one. I got to tell you, I will say before we begin that I do enjoy both movies. Sorry, Jarvie. I do enjoy both movies very much, but they are very, even though they have the similar dystopian future kind of setting and everything else,
so different.
Very different kind of movies in a way. So it's very interesting comparing them because it kind of almost all of my answers are going to be like, well, it depends on what kind of movie you want. Like it's in some ways Mad Max is better because of this, but in other ways you're looking for this, it's going to be Escape. So I'm interested to see what we have to say, but we'll start with better setting. I'll go first if you don't mind. I'll take the lead on better setting. And exactly what I'm talking about, in that it's a depends what you want. Mad Max has a very open world setting. It's also a more realistic dystopian future setting in that they don't give you a whole lot. Like, it's basically, okay, it's the future. It's this wide open area. Civilization is kind of broken down, and there's these lawmen on one side and these criminals and gangs on the other kind of way, and people are just trying to make it through. There's no real, like, this could be set almost any time, anywhere, because it's not like you have cars. It's like the only technology you really need to have, cars, transportation, like that. There's no advanced technology, nothing like that. So that's a very wide open setting, which I kind of like, because you could do anything in that kind of setting. You're not limited to much, as whatever your imagination is. Then you got Escape from New York, which is a much more controlled setting, definitely a lot more, futuristic for 1981. So you have New York, a locked in New York, which is really kind of a precursor of, I don't know anybody reads comics out there, but Batman's No Man's Land. It kind of had a very similar vibe. I think Batman's No Man's Land was definitely inspired by Escape from New York. So
yeah,
it's kind of a different weird choice. You have the controlled setting of New York, which is one island, versus the wide open spaces of Mad Max. I'm going to lean towards Escape from New York, though, because I kind of like the setup of the world better. We have a world where you're depositing all your criminals in one spot, and it seems like there's a lot of stuff going on in the outside world which we haven't even tapped yet. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on between this whole governmental meetings and stuff, and I think there's a lot that you could tap into that potential. And I just like the technology a little bit more, so I'm going to go with Escape from New York. Maddie or Jarvie, I'll let you pick who goes first.
Jarvie?
Let Matty go first. I'm gonna let Kearns stew a bit about my opinion for this movie.
I do find it's kind of ironic that Escape from New York is about turning New York into an island where all the prisoners get dumped, when that's exactly what us Brits did for Australia to be founded, because Australia was an island where all of the British sent all of our prisoners, and then we later discovered it to be paradise, and now everyone tries to move over there. That being said, I get that the road in Mad Max is supposed to be part of the story. Apparently, I've read things that it's supposed to symbolize the hero's journey, etc., etc. I'm all for that, but the way New York is set out, and from what I know about New York in the 70s, that the place was an absolute fucking cesspool of drugs, gang violence. I could easily see this place becoming a reality if we were in the dystopian apocalypse, if shit really did go to hell. That scene where they're driving down Broadway for the first time, and you start seeing all the heads on spikes and stuff, and they're like, yeah, we probably shouldn't drive down Broadway. They're like, what's wrong with Broadway? And then you just see the heads on the spikes and stuff. You're like, oh,
that's what's wrong with Broadway.
So yeah, I'm gonna give it to Escape from New York.
All right, I got it. Escape. Before you give yours, Jarvie, Maddie's in the chat saying better sitting Mad Max because it's a more expansive world. Escape is confined to just Manhattan Island for the whole movie, aside from the beginning and ending. And Maddie, we agree. I just like you're better because of it. So interesting. We actually say the same things, but we just prefer one over the other because of that. And Reefism also, yes, Jamie Lee Curtis does the opening narration, a very John Carpenter loyalist there. So I like that.
Did not know that.
Big John Carpenter girl there, that Jamie Lee Curtis was. It is. All right, Jarvie, how about you? What are you going to say? Are you going to make it 3-0? Are you going to surprise everybody and say you hate Mad Max?
It is definitely Escape from New York. I think Mad Max, with its open setting, had so much potential. They really didn't do much there. I mean, they kind of created an interesting premise, but when it came to setting, I don't know if they really used a lot of it, because it visually looked like just an Australian outback, nothing apocalyptic about it. I know the budget was $300K for that movie, so I get it. They were kind of the budget wasn't enough for them to do a lot with it.
There's a reason why it was what it was, let's be honest.
Yeah. And when it comes to the story, I feel like it was kind of a generic revenge story happening in that setting. I mean, Escape from New York, I mean, it's ominous from the start, from the very first to when the credits roll. It feels dark and gloomy, feels menacing, and it's a really cool premise. So I feel like a lot. You talked about Batman borrowing from it. I feel like The Purge and Army of the Dead and a lot of movies have sort of followed suit there. And the fact that Manhattan is a prison for all the criminals, the crazies that are there. I mean. And the fact that Air Force One crashes in that craziness and they have to rescue the president. I mean, that is a great fucking storyline.
Have you noticed when he gets in the escape pod thing, the get out of Air Force One, it kind of just looks like one of those smaller tents that you would take to a festival.
Does it?
Yeah.
It really does. Yeah, you're not wrong.
It looks like he's getting into a tent with that they've put like an outer shell around. It's great.
That is funny. That is funny. I have to say, I argue against Jarvie. The one thing I want to argue against the idea that it's a typical revenge story, because to me, that's what struck me about Mad Max is that typical revenge stories, you get the incident in the first 5 minutes, and the whole movie is about finding revenge. And this one, the incident doesn't happen until about 30 minutes before the movie, which is like this is all also idea of expanding this world out and bring up the world, bring up the villains well beforehand. And you have the guy trying to get out, and then the inciting incident happens, and then Mad Max kind of is born to a degree. So I think it's not exactly. I don't think it's typical per se. I understand it was definitely a choice, and I can understand not liking the choice because it does limit Mad Max being Mad Max to the last 30 minutes. But I definitely think I like the idea for the swing. I think it'd be interesting to try that out again in another storyline down the way. I mean, if we can do regular revenge stories, we can try this altered revenge story a little bit. But so I don't know. Interesting point though. But
that goes against the story. The fact that they kind of started the entire crux of the movie like 2/3 into it. I mean, it wasn't that exciting up until then because you were waiting for something to happen. Because Mad Max isn't Mad Max in this movie at all, but we'll get to that.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay.
Oh, we're about to get to that.
All right, we'll move on then. We will move on to the next category. Better hero. Is it Snake or is it Max? You want to go first, Gunnar?
Can I just get mine out of the way? Because
sure.
I love the character that Max becomes. And when I first started thinking about this category, I had that heavily in my mind of like, what does Max become? What does Snake become in Escape from LA? And then I was like, no, wait, we have to confine it to these two movies. Ultimately, my decision came down to who would win in a fight between the two. And let me tell you, Snake would whoop Max's ass. Like, he's way better with a gun, way better unarmed. All Max would have is that he's slightly crazy, and while sometimes that can be an advantage, I don't think that Max would be able to wear out Snake's punches with his face for very long.
Fair.
Add to that, you expect me to pick against the character that inspired Solid Snake. Are you fucking crazy? That's like asking me if I wanted to like self-inject a inoperable fatal disease into myself. Like, it's Snake. out of these two movies, it's Snake.
Okay.
Overall, I may be swayed. I have to go a different way.
That's fair.
But just
fair.
these two
movies, we go
it's
from that.
Snake all day.
Okay. I just want to go back one category real quick because Maddie said something important here in the chat that I actually agree with. The way they did that, I feel like it made it important. Like, we got to see Max's family. We had to live with Max's family for a bit. Whereas the normal revenge story, we wouldn't really know much about it. Like, oh, we care about it because his wife and kid died. Now we kind of actually live with that wife and that kid for a while. We got to see them go on. So it's almost kind of shocking when you first see it that, oh, they're going to die now out of nowhere. Like, we actually care about this woman and the kid there. So, but I digress. All right. So better hero, Jarvis, why don't you go next then?
Yeah, I think Mad Max should have been just called Max. There's nothing mad about Max in this one. Even when they kill his family, he's sort of just, I don't know, slightly angered,
Damn,
far from mad.
he's miles
He's irritated,
next.
Max.
Looks great in leather. Doesn't like look
That's
half as
true.
cool as he does in the rest of the sequels. I mean, sure, young Mel Gibson, he's cool to watch, but I don't know. He feels more like an everyman than actual like an action hero in this, and I get it. That's the point. And when it comes to the journey of the character, I do agree that Mad Max kind of has a more of an arc. But when I put him up against Snake, when I put him up against Pliskin, like the second Kurt Russell appears on screen, I mean, that's instantly cool. Fucking eye patch, the way he walks, the way he dresses, absolute badass. They give the hair, they give him an awesome hero qualifier. Loose cannon, reluctant hero, and he proves himself pretty fast as well. He has a fight scene coming up. There's this guy coming up behind him. I think he just like 2 moves. Guy's wiped out. Where I do give the edge to Max is the hero's journey. As I mentioned, I don't think Pliskin really changes at all throughout the entire movie, but I don't really care. I'd rather just watch him stay the same. Yeah, he kind of grows a conscience at some point, but at the end of the day, he's still trying to save himself. He's trying to get the friggin' whatever it was in his neck.
Well, I think I will point out that I think honestly that it's not that we need him to change, but we learn more about him. I think he's always been the good guy. He does care about like his friends, their brain and stuff, even though he talks differently. I think he does care about the righteousness of what he's doing. I think he does want to save himself a little bit too. I kind of feel like it's funny. The one negative I had towards Snake in this whole thing was that it comes out when you that first moment when you see him, you talk about how cool he is. I almost feel like he's almost cheesy.
Too cool.
It's like too like
perfect.
Is it though? I mean, like it is, but it isn't. It is, but it isn't. Like it's almost like I wanted a little bit more. I think maybe I watched Escape from New York again after Mad Max. I almost like the idea of having the hero become the hero, where it just kind of came on, kind of like walked right off a comic book page. It kind of was like I laughed a little ironically with it. I mean, I got into it again and didn't. At the end of the day, I'm voting Snake. Also, Snake was badass. He was awesome. But I say if I had to pick a negative side of it, it's kind of a little bit like it's almost too over the top in the beginning. It's like this hero qualifier kind of thing. I mean, he's like, it is an 80s movie also, so I get it. And that's where I do like Mad Max's journey, because I think Max showed more. He wasn't just an everyman. He was like an everyman in the beginning, but I love the idea of him, like, he had this subtle journey about him where he tried to get out because he recognized the madness within him. Like he had this moment, he's like, I don't want to become like them, and I will if I keep doing this. I'm going to become that way. I'm a time bomb waiting to blow. And then when his family gets killed,
when he blows his load,
it blows his load at that point. Absolutely. But Snake again, like, yeah, that's true. Matt, you're not wrong. It's partially that Kurt Russell he just exudes coolness. It's hard for him not to be cool. I get that. So at the end of the day, it's a very slight negative. And Snake really is bad. I mean, just him saying, "Call me Snake," it's fucking badass. Like it's like you can't go wrong with him. So it's definitely for me, especially in this movie versus the original Mad Max. I still got to go with Snake.
Did you guys know that Mad Max was one of the things that inspired Escape from New York? There was an interview with Kurt Russell that him and John Carpenter watched it together, and then Kurt Russell said, "I've got an idea for you," and then John Carpenter goes, "No, I've got one better." And it was Escape from New York.
That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense because they feel that even though they're very different movies, they feel like they kind of like can piggyback off each other to a degree. Mm-hmm. All right, better action sequences. Matt, you want to start it?
No, I started to hear it. That's Jarvie.
Jarvie, let's start.
Jarvie's on a roll with Matty in the chat. So.
This is just easy pickings for me. Mad Max doesn't even hold a candle. I mean, there are some cool car chases. There are some brutal beatdowns, but the low budget action, nothing visually great about it. Nothing really choreographed. I mean, you put it up against Escape from New York, you got cool explosions, you got 80s action, you got freaking arena fights, and the boss chase on the bridge. I mean, the final fight with the Duke, everything worked for a great 80s action movie in this one. And I'm sorry. This is easy.
I almost got to put Maddie and Jarvie in a one-on-one call, and let's see what happens.
Jarvie literally just went body, head. Just like weaken him,
Elbow, roundhouse.
Maddie, do you want to salve Matty Kearns' wounds?
You can go.
No, I would like you to go because I'm kind of curious.
Right from the off, Snake is dropped undetected onto the World Trade Center. Back then, who the fuck was doing that? No one. And like, have you? I don't know if you've seen the unreleased opening that they put, the bank robbery scene.
Yes, I did.
That on its own could be a short movie of how fucking sweet that action scene is, and it shows a character side of Snake that we don't see until the later part of the movie, because he's the guy he's robbing the bank with. I can't remember his name for the life of me. Like, he goes back for him when the cops show up to arrest them both. He goes back for the guy, and the guy ends up getting shot, and then Snake gets caught and he gets hauled off. So it's kind of like, I feel like they should have kept it in because it introduces the person, the Snake Plissken, as a person. Now, do not get me wrong, there is great action in Mad Max, but I feel like it takes a little bit too long to get there sometimes. I feel like sometimes when I watch Mad Max, I'm like, okay, come on, get to the bit, like get to the action. Like, it feels like the road itself, like you're waiting to get to the destination, you're waiting to get to the next stop, and you're like, okay, keep it. But like Escape from New York keeps giving it to me like more and more and more. And especially the chase across the 69th Street Bridge. You have all the characters, they're all there. Cabby, Brain, everyone's there. But then in that one chase, Maggie, one by one, they all start falling down. And then you're just sitting there like, fuck, dude, they were so close.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong, man. Wow. I almost hate to say it, but I got to agree with both of you. And I agree with, Maddie does too. Better action sequences, Escape from New York. And I do think you're right. If it's Road Warrior, we might have a different conversation, because Road Warrior is definitely a far more full-on action movie compared to Mad Max. It's kind of like Rocky versus Rocky 4 to a degree. Not totally different kinds of movies.
One's a drama, one's a action.
Absolutely, that's what it feels like. Mad Max is more of the drama side of things. Escape from New York is totally better action at this point. And Mad Max does have some great moments, and has the last 30 minutes is a lot of great fight scenes, a lot of good chase down scenes, I should say, some beat down scenes, and some moments of it. But you can't take that away. I mean, the fucking wrestling match there in the middle of Escape from New York is much better than almost anything else in Mad Max, to be completely honest with you, action wise. Some great gun sequences as well. There's a great, again, the big fights between like the gangs of people chasing them down versus like the more lower key gang versus Max. It's just easily said. It's definitely Escape from New York in this one. So
yeah, if they'd only given Crazy Gibson something to do in a movie called Mad Max, and you have him as a slightly angered male cop. I mean,
was he Crazy Gibson at this time, or was he just?
No, he's got it in him. He's got it in him.
Yeah, he hadn't really shown yet, though. This is not the Patriot.
You gotta look. Yeah.
There you go. Taylor was his friend's name from the cut opening. Joe Unger is actually still in the credits. Okay, cool. I did not know that, actually, Matty. All right, moving on then to better villain. I guess I'll start this one again. This is tough too, because Escape has a couple of different villains, really, theoretically. I mean, it's kind of like they're not. I mean, Snake is the only really good guy per se. Everybody else has some moments. Because you got the Duke as classily played by Isaac Hayes. I mean, you got Lee Von Cleef's character is kind of a bad guy, kind of. I mean, he's like the head of Snake, but he's kind of still a dick. And even like Donald Pleasance is kind of a villain, fucking trashy. The president, as the president, he's kind of a sweet. Why can't I say the word? I can't say the word. Weasel.
Shit.
Shit weasel.
Thank you. I couldn't say I was like sweet. No, what the fuck? Cloudy head totally today. But he is a shit weasel, kind of a president. And he's got nothing there. I mean, so there's a lot of them little pieces, but I gotta say, I think Toe Cutter is my favorite out of all of them for Mad Max. I do like Toe Cutter. It's something about his craziness and not about his like insanity and the way he has this kind of weird code of, I don't even want to say honor, but he's got this weird code that he things happen the way he wants them to happen. If people start slacking off, he's going to take care of it. If it was just Duke versus Toe Cutter, I think it's easily Toe Cutter because I think Duke is good, but Toe Cutter just got some kind of charisma to him that I don't think any of the villains really have because they're spread out over a couple of different villains. So it's in a way because they're like, if the three villains together make a great villain kind of thing, but the three of them separately kind of dilutes it a little bit. I got to give it Toe Cutter. So Mad Max has a point.
Okay.
All right, Jarvie, go for you.
Mad Max gets 2 points.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah, this is Toe Cutter, definitely. Hugh Keyes Byrne. They brought him back for a reason in Mad Max Fury Road. And the thing about him, so I was trying to, that's the same guy. That's Immortan Joe.
Yeah.
That's Immortan Joe. The thing about him that makes him, like, he makes you feel uneasy because he's so calm most of the time. And then he just flips. And it's such an uncomfortable flip that you feel like this is an actual, like, someone who's unhinged or who can do real damage to you. And that's something that makes him, he is Crazy Gibson. He is what Gibson will become. That's a great story on its own. I think Isaac Hayes did a decent job as Duke, but I think he's kind of generic in this. They really didn't give him much to do either. I think he's only in the movie in like the last quarter.
Right.
They kind of didn't mention him a lot, but he kind of comes in, looks menacing, didn't get a lot to do. And I'd say in Escape from New York, like the rest of the crazies were kind of more menacing than the villain itself. So yes, this is Mad Max.
Good. I want to say, hey, Kelly, it's okay to be late. You're here. Better late than never.
What's up, Kelly?
And Maddie, not a fan of Fury Road. Interesting. Maddie, you okay?
I know a few people that have the same opinion.
What?
You're all crazies.
I agree.
Witness me.
It's okay, Maddie. You're okay to be wrong every once in a while. I don't hate you for that. So, no, I'm kidding.
We do hate you for that.
The funny thing is, about that. Honestly speaking, Mad Max and Fury Road are such different kinds of movies. I can see some people thinking that Fury Road is kind of a perversion of the original Mad Max movies. It's such a different story at that point. But I'm not one of those people. Not gonna lie. I love it. But all right, Maddie, Gunner, all for you.
First off, I just want to say, how dare you guys forget about what was the actor's name? Frank Doubleday as Romero.
Yeah.
In Escape from New York. He's
but that's a henchman, right? That's kind of like
he's still a villain though.
He looks cool though.
Look at him and I wonder if anyone who has played the Joker has like used him for inspiration. Like the way he looks, the crazy eyes, like the rotting teeth, the way he like walks forward with like his head bowed, and then he's like starts whispering like 15, 14, 13, or like touch me and he dies. Like,
right.
He's got that like craziness to him. And I almost want to give it to Escape from New York solely because of Romero. But like you guys said, with villains like the Duke, we see them a dime a dozen. Like he's keeping the president. He's got a high value target that he's keeping hostage. Right. He tries to kill the hero. We've seen this a million times. Toe Cutter, not only is he strategic, he's evil. He's got almost this kind of like a Christ complex. He killed a baby.
Mm-hmm.
He killed a woman, and that happens. But like, he killed a baby.
Yeah.
You're pretty much other than like the only thing I could think that worse that he could have done was killed a dog.
A dog? Yeah.
Dog.
Agreed.
Oh god, you guys are something else. You guys.
It goes baby, dog. Like,
No. It's further. It's further.
Parent, non-parents, right there. That's just real quick.
We're dog dads. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm a dog dad too. So and a cat dad
Good.
and a parent dad. He hates me, so I can't have him near. He's scared of me.
Good for good reason.
But all right. Therefore, we are on our last of the categories. The final category. I don't know. I try to make this dramatic, but it doesn't look like it's going to be too dramatic at this point. But better legacy. This is an interesting one. It's a very interesting one because the question I want to throw to you is better legacy. There's a couple different ways you can look at legacies. You can look at what it's like. This movie's legacy. Does it mean like all the sequels? Or does it mean what the future potential is as well? And I think you have to take both into account, and that makes this closer to me. But I shouldn't go first. I just went first. So why don't we start with you, Matt? I think we're up to you, Matty.
This was the one where I was like, shit, I'm gonna have to fight dirty on this one.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna have to pull a POD. I'm gonna have to like scratch and claw to get this one done. Overall, Mad Max has 2 great sequels. Escape from LA was really good, but Road Warrior and Thunderdome, I'm not counting Fury Road because it's not Mel Gibson. To me, that's like a standalone thing on its own. I'm talking the 3 that we have with Crazy Mel. That's not so mad. Mad Max may have had like 2 really, really great sequels, but Escape from New York inspired the greatest video game ever fucking made. Like, I love Star Wars. The only thing above Star Wars for me is Metal Gear. That's how much I love it, and that's how much I love this movie. And when you look at the character of Snake and then you put Solid Snake next to each other, it is literally a like for like. And then you look at the story of the first Metal Gear, going to a remote island to rescue the president who has the nuclear codes strapped to his wrist in a briefcase. He has the psychic Otacon who is Brain. Like, it's kind of like Kojima did what George Lucas did with Star Wars, and that he took all of his influences and was just like, boom, there you go. And what cinches this for me is that when Canal went to sue Kojima for copyright infringement or whatever over the use of the character and everything, John Carpenter turned around and said, don't you fucking dare. I know him. I'm a fan of his work. If he wants to use it for the likeness, go ahead. And that to me is cool as shit. So Escape from New York gets it for me.
Okay, one problem there.
What?
You're right. Escape from New York is the daddy of Metal Gear. Mad Max, the daddy of Road Warrior. So Mad Max is basically the granddaddy of Metal Gear. And then you put together the other sequels involved. The Road Warrior.
Okay.
The third one. And whether like it or not, I will put Fury Road, because whether you like Fury Road or not,
I love Fury Road.
It's part of the legacy. And it is a beautiful part of the legacy. So to me, we have the granddaddy. So basically the film that created Escape from New York partially, which also created Metal Gear, and you have a good sequel and a beautiful sequel versus one movie, which was the son of the other movie, kind of speaking, and then you have an okay sequel.
But there's no part of Mad Max in Metal Gear. It is straight up Escape from, like, you
part of Max in Snake.
A little bit, but then John Carpenter basically said, "I've got something better," and then they created Escape from New York. So I see what you're trying to do.
I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm having the sequels and the fact that there really is no Road Warrior without, or there is no Escape from New York without Max. So I got to give it to Max.
Okay.
Jarvie,
give
it to us.
This will go to Mad Max for me. I feel like I'm gonna be a bit more biased because this was the first time I saw Escape. But I do feel like Mad Max has gone down in history in a bigger way. You talked about the sequels. I think definitely Fury Road. Fury Road is the reason why the Mad Max franchise is back in the zeitgeist, sort of like, and there was a reason why they made Fury Road, because the first one exploded to the action movie scene. It's still one of the movies that Mel Gibson is, well, it's one of the movies he's most known for. When you put it up against Escape from New York, kind of has an okay sequel, which I haven't seen, but the ratings show that it's not that great of a sequel. I do want to see it though. I don't think Kurt Russell is as much linked to Escape as Mel Gibson is to Mad Max. So, well, I consider myself a big movie buff, and I gotta say, I have not heard this movie pop up too many times in movie conversations.
Really?
Yeah. So I think the
new
look of
partners,
Pliskin itself, like I did recognize Pliskin, Snake, the Kurt Russell look that he has. But other than that, I had pretty much heard nothing about the movie. And I know it feels biased, but I read movie news all the time. I'm in lots of Facebook groups, stuff like that. This wasn't a movie that I had heard of that much, and it hasn't been referenced as much. Mad Max gets referenced all the time, I feel like.
Interesting. I can't argue. That's your not even your opinion. That's your journey. That's what you've experienced. I can't argue that. I would say I've heard great things about Escape from New York, but then again, I also talk in more John Carpenter-esque circles too, and I think that a lot of people talk. I mean, because even though Escape from New York, not a horror movie, John Carpenter is a big horror guy. So if you're in the horror community, you talk John Carpenter, it's going to come up. Kurt Russell really did kind of break on a couple different movies. It was this one, The Thing, and probably Big Trouble in Little China were kind of the big ones at the time that kind of broke him out a little bit.
Yeah.
As far as action, especially action stuff goes. I love it too. I put those two up against each other too. I actually would love to do Escape from New York versus Big Trouble in Little China one day.
No,
no. I have not seen that one either.
Veto. Immediate veto. No.
Well, I'll take that under advisement, Maddie, and I'll completely ignore you at some point. But I get where you're coming from to a degree, Jarvie. I do understand, because that's your experience. I can't deny that. It surprises me though, because I do feel Escape from New York has been mentioned to me almost as much as Mad Max. If Mad Max has any bearing on it, it's because there are more current movies and there's more things like Mad Max as a movie in the works. Furiosa is in the works today. A sequel to Fury Road is in the works today, or whatever. Is it a prequel? I can't remember now if it's a prequel or a sequel.
It's a prequel.
It's a prequel. Okay, it's a prequel. I feel like Escape from New York could, if John Carpenter were to come out of retirement, and I mean, well, he's kind of retired. He hasn't done a movie. He hasn't directed a movie since like 2010, The Ward. If he decided to come out of retirement from directing, and he announces he wants to do a third Escape from whatever movie with Kurt Russell, I think that'd be just as big, if not bigger news than Mad Max Fury Road. Like coming, whether or not it's good or not, that's a totally different story. Because John Carpenter, I love you, John Carpenter. Please forgive my sins here. He hasn't been a great director for a little while. Like 2010's The Ward was very generic, not that great. Some of his later stuff in the early 2000s was a step below some of his other stuff. I think he's still good. Like Ghost from Mars, I actually love a lot of his stuff still, but just doesn't compare when you compare it to like his amazing 80s run, 70s and 80s run to me. So yeah, I think if Carpenter did that, we'd be talking a different story, I think, potentially. But with that in mind, he didn't. He hasn't. I don't think he's going to. I kind of feel like
he could come out of retirement to direct the Metal Gear movie that they're making with Oscar Isaac as Solid Snake.
Okay, he could, but he won't.
He might, but that would be amazing.
He's happy doing soundtracks for Halloween movies now, and that's okay. You know, Duke can do whatever he wants to do. He's a legendary director. So either way, yes, you're right.
I know.
Charlie, to be fair, PLD, your best friend is PJ. Yes, that's true. PJ does love Escape from New York. That's true.
Put PJ through that. Put PJ through Big Trouble in Little China through Escape from New York. Put him through that. Not me.
Yeah. Maybe I will. Oh, that's cool, Maddie. By the way, I saw Escape from New York in double feature with The Fog on the big screen recently. That's a great combo. I'm betting Jarvie hasn't seen The Fog either. I'm going to guess.
Jarvie, you seen The Fog?
Yeah, I didn't think so. I don't think so. That's a movie. I feel like that's one of those ones that you wouldn't see. I think I know my audience and my partners here. That's all right. That's okay. That's something you got to see. I do think you should watch Big Trouble in Little China too. That's a lot of fun. It's like, especially if you like Escape from New York, I think you'll like Big Trouble.
I've heard so much about it.
It's fun.
Compared to Escape from New York, I've heard way more about Big Trouble in Little
interesting.
China.
Interesting.
Yeah.
To say that, huh? Okay. Oh, interesting. All right. Well, the time is up. We actually have a declared winner. Not too much drama this time around. If you watch the first three categories, the first three categories were a sweep. So Mad Max had to come back. Did not actually really couldn't even come back barely. Even if he had come back, it was pretty much over after the 3 rounds. Even if Mad Max had swept the last 2, it still would have been a victory for Escape from New York. But 10-5, Escape from New York wins. That's it. That's it. Escape from New York is the victor over Mad Max, and something that I actually thought was going to happen. That was my snap judgment before. I like Mad Max quite a bit, but it's no Escape from New York. I almost wish we could have gone back in time and done Road Warrior versus Escape from New York. Might have been a different story. But Road Warrior versus Escape from New York or Escape from LA could happen. And I'll tell you right now, my snap judgment is that we would take a win in the Mad Max side of things that time around.
Road Warrior. Yeah, there's no question.
Shouldn't we do Thunderdome versus LA? It feels like Thunderdome is way more like way more in the camp of of LA. I haven't seen LA, but the trailer kind of showed that it's kind of
that would actually probably
that
would be a little more probably tonally speaking the same. That would put Road Warrior. Well, it couldn't do Road Warrior versus Fury Road. Actually, Matty would say that'd actually be a fun one to possibly do. The Road Warrior was kind of like the '80s version of Fury Road to a degree. Honestly, similar type of vibe. Not similar to, kind of similar type of vibe. Hard to explain, but I think it'd be a good fit. But either way, yes, no, that's a good point. I'd say the music score Escape from New York kicks ass.
It sounded like Blade Runner. There was some Blade Runner in there.
John Carpenter is a phenomenal score composer.
I have it on vinyl.
Like the way he does his like very bare minimum, I say bare minimum like a bad thing. It's a very minimalist synth kind of droning stuff. It just works so well. It's just a weird thing. I usually don't like minimalist stuff too much comparatively. I'm a big give me John Williams, give me Giacchino, give me Zimmer, give me all the big like stuff. But this is very low key, and he's actually one of my favorite composers. I mean, imagine Halloween without the Halloween music. You can't do it. Same type of thing here. Escape from New York, the soundtrack is phenomenal. Yes, that's what I was trying to say. If it was the 2010s version of Road Warrior, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. So, well, we can do Road Warrior versus Big Trouble. Actually, might not be a bad choice. Better.
Why do you hate?
Because that would make sense. Because if we decide that tonally speaking, that Thunderdome and LA are the two ones to do, putting Road Warrior versus Big Trouble is kind of, at least it's another Kurt Russell versus Mel. So I like that idea.
Jay coming
hot. Jay coming hot. The second one is trash. You don't like Fury. You don't like Road Warrior. Interesting. Okay, Jake is yeah, I better leave it. Kearns might jump him through the screen there. But well, that's it, guys. That's it. That's today's show. Thanks so much for popping in. Thanks to Matty Kearns, Patron Matty Kearns, for this idea. You did put Matty Gunner through the ringer. He does hate you. He will get over it. He will get over it at some point.
I'm going to hate you even more for suggesting we do Big Trouble versus Road Warrior.
That's going to happen now. It's going to happen. We're going to do this. We're going to continue the series. We're not going to do it next week. We are going next week. I should put that up there. To do some scheduling switch ups. We're going to have class action 2 weeks in a row before we jump back to the every other week status. We're going to do, I think we will do both Road Warrior versus Big Trouble, and we will do Thunderdome versus Escape from LA. But next week is going to be a special one, a fun one, I think, and it's going to be a very, very difficult one if all the reviews are true, because I've heard some good things here. We are going to be doing the 2 Spider-Verse movies against each other, the original Into the Spider-Verse, and then versus the newcomer, the Across the Spider-Verse. That'll be next week, same time, same channel, same time. hit that like, hit that subscribe, leave some comments. And if you want to support the channel even further, join the Patreon at patreon.com/PLD projects. Join such members as Austin Cadell, Jeremiah Morris, Matty Kearns, Brandon Buckingham, Jeff Ulsterman, and the rest of you as well. Could not do it without you. We really, really do appreciate you. You help keep the lights on. It's been a lot of fun talking with these guys. Matty, where can the folks find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Matty Gunner, Instagram Matty_Gunner. You can find my band Mourner, MOURNER, on all streaming platforms. New song coming soon. I'll have an announcement on that. Holy Snokes every Wednesday with myself and PLD. And now I have to send Paul the file, but Am I Declassified with myself and Mr. Richard Arajabi, leading up to Am I Dead Reckoning Part 1. We'll be going through each of the Mission Impossible movies in the franchise in what I like to call two mediocre white Europeans on film.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I wish I didn't upload the. I wish I could do that while we're talking about it. Jarvis, where can the folks find you? I'm looking for something.
On Facebook and Instagram at Richard Eric with a K Jarvie. And I hope you found it because I'm done.
I love how quick you are. That's awesome. Yeah, I did not find it yet. That's all right. We'll get there. I'll talk about myself, of course. I am at Paul_Denuzio on Twitter, and you can find me every week on a bunch of different shows. First off, the one show I do is pushed off this week. I usually do Crown Jewels, A Journey Through Queen. I'm doing that one for a while. I do love that. I've had a great time with that. It's actually on my sister channel, the PLD Project's Crown Jewels channel, because I found that I separated the movies and the music. It worked well together. So it is what it is. I just moved it over. We had a great time with that. But Love of My Life is the next song. You've watched Bohemian Rhapsody, the film. You know, it's a big part of the Queen catalog. And yes, that's a long one. It's a big one because we have a lot of different versions to cover. But that's going to be next Friday now. Next Friday instead of this Friday because I was a little sick. Couldn't quite get it done. It is what it is. Every once in a while, things get pushed back. But yeah, Holy Snokes every week. Start every Wednesday on PLD Projects. Tomorrow, we are talking about the news of the day, as always. And Matty put forth a kind of a cool idea. The life lessons we learned from Star Wars. And I want to have an interesting conversation we could have about that. We have a lot of fun with our Holy Snokes, so please come back for that. Of course, we also have Review, which is a show I do with Lego, where you have the Final Battle. The next one should drop on Thursday, June 8th. We're doing 8th, the 15th, the 22nd. It'll be the Final Battle, Part 1, Part 2, and 3. And then we'll move on to start reviewing the weekly series. Of course, with PJ Campbell, two mediocre white dudes on film. We're taking next week off to do Class Action, then we'll be back. We'll be back on, June 13th. For two mediocre white dudes on Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, as we are working our way through the Indiana Jones franchise in order to get to Dial of Destiny. And finally, I think I said them all. No more left. Oh, yeah, the Harris Dance. It's coming. I know I've been promising that for a long time. I have it scheduled. It is now scheduled. The first episode will drop at the end of June. Probably June 29th will be the first episode of the Harris Dance. It's going to be actually a short one. It's interesting because it's only about the first thing that Ed Harris ever did, which is a short in a episode of a show called Gibbsville, and it is not available anywhere. So I got a couple of clips from YouTube I saw, and I'm trying to grade it all on that because I'm a very damn completist. But so it's going to be fun, though. It's going to be fun to talk about them. So other than that, I think that is it. I'm not ducking you, Jake, in any kind of trivia match. You want me to do this drunk trivia match? I'll do it with you. I already told you I was going to do it. You didn't come up with a date there. Anyway. All right. See you next time, guys. Really appreciate you. Until next time, justice has been served. Oh, no, there's that. How about that? Justice has been served. And court is
just end
adjourned.
the fucking show.
Just fuck.